International trade is a key part of a country's economy, involving the exchange of goods and services between nations. It works by allowing countries to sell what they produce best and buy what they need from others, creating a flow of products across borders. The purpose is to access resources, products, and markets that aren't available domestically, meet consumer demand, and promote economic growth. Through trading internationally, countries build stronger global relationships, expand their markets, and improve their overall economic health. However, the question remains, what happens if there is free trade? Can you do it freely? The answer is no. Free trade sounds great, but it can put local businesses at a disadvantage against cheaper imports, leading to job losses. That's where trade policies step in. They shield these businesses, leveled playing field, and fix trade imbalances. But before diving deeper, let's first explore what trade policies are. International trade policies are the rules and regulations that guide and control how trade is done with foreign countries. And we have what we call trade policy instruments, which are tools used by governments to regulate trade between nations that can either promote or restrict the trade. First, the instrument is tariffs. These are taxes imposed on imported goods, typically used to protect domestic industries from foreign competition or generate government revenue. The effects of putting tariffs in place are that it will raise the price of imported goods, leading to reduced import levels, higher prices for consumers, and increased revenue for the government. The second key instrument is quotas. These are a limit on the amount of a specific good that can be imported into a country. Its effect is that it will restrict the supply of foreign goods, which will eventually raise the price of domestic goods and provide protection for domestic producers. However, having these can lead to trade tension and inefficiencies. For example, the European Union's quotas on Chinese textiles to protect its domestic textile industry. The third key instrument is subsidies. These are government payments for domestic industries to reduce production costs, which will make their products more competitive in the global market. There are also types of subsidies, such as direct subsidies, tax incentives, low-interest loans, and government procurement. We also have what we call trade distortions. It is when subsidies can distort trade by allowing domestic industries to sell products at lower price than foreign competitors, which will lead to unfair competition and retaliatory measures from trade partners. For example, agricultural subsidies provided by the US and the Europe, which have been criticized for distorting global agricultural markets. Next is trade barriers and protectionism. Trade barriers are the measures that the government implements to restrict imports and exports, such as tariffs, quotas, and non-tariff barriers. Next is protectionism. It is an economic policy of restricting imports to exports to protect domestic industries from foreign competition, often through tariffs, quotas, and subsidies. Protectionism will protect domestic jobs and industries in a short period of time, but may lead to higher consumer prices and retaliatory trade measures from other countries. For example, the US-China trade war, where both countries imposed tariffs on each other's goods as part of protectionist policies. Another instrument is non-tariff barriers to trade, which are trade restrictions that do not involve tariffs, such as import licensing, product standards, regulations, and quotas. And technically, we have different types of non-tariff barriers. First is technical barriers. These are standards and regulations related to health, safety, and environmental protection. Next is sanitary and phytosanitary measures. These are measures to protect humans, animals, and plants from diseases, pests, and contaminants. Third is customs procedures. These are complex administrative procedures that delay or restrict imports. The impact NTBs can be more restrictive than tariffs and are often used as a form of protectionism. For example, the Europe's strongest food safety standards, which restrict imports of genetically modified organisms, are also known as GMOs. We also have what we call regional trade agreements and economic integration. These are treaties between two or more countries that agree to reduce or eliminate tariffs, quotas, and other trade barriers among member countries. And it also have different types of classifications just like non-tariff barriers. First is free trade areas, where member countries eliminate tariffs among themselves but maintain individual external tariffs. The second one is customs unions. It is where member countries eliminate internal tariffs and adopt common external tariffs. Lastly, the economic unions. It is where member countries integrate economically and politically, sharing common policies. For example, the European Union. Impact RTAs promote regional economic integration and trade flows, but may divert trade from non-member countries. For example, the Comprehensive and Progressive Agreement for Trans-Pacific Partnership as a major RTA promoting trade in the Asia-Pacific